All right, sweet. Flatline MMA podcast episode number 66. You got the Flatline boys are back. We took last week off, coming back with a vengeance this week. UFC Vegas 19 reactions. We had Derrick Lewis taking on Curtis Blaydes. Big fight. A lot of implications with this one. Basically a number one contender fight in the heavyweight division. Headline in this card, we had a couple really solid fights on here. A couple brutal knockouts. Julian Arosa with a flying knee knockout of Nate Landor. We had Jared Gordon defeating Danny Chavez. Jared Gordon coming in overweight as well. What else on here? Tom Aspinall looking phenomenal against Andrei Arlovski, getting a submission victory, which I believe he was plus 1,200 for him to get a submission victory over Andrei Arlovski. So obviously massive upset there. Who else on here? Chris Dacus with a fucking flurry of punches to knock out Alexei Oleinik in the first round. What else? Who do we have? Yana Kunitskaya, I think the fiance of Thiago Santos, getting a hard-fought decision victory over Ketlin Vieira. So overall, really solid fight night card, headlined by the two beasts, the two mammoths of humans, Curtis Blaydes, Derrick Lewis. This was an interesting fight. It was kind of your stereotypical just striker versus kind of a grappler here, right? You had Curtis Blaydes, who's, looked phenomenal. He's been on a four or five fight win streak, a lot of momentum, number 2 in the world, taking on Derrick Lewis, a guy, again, 4-fight win streak. A lot of implications here. Number 1 contender fight, most likely. And what happens? You got Derrick Lewis, the man you can't count out of any fight, doing what he does best, coming from behind and just shocking the world with an uppercut from hell to knock out Curtis Blaydes in the second round, with Blaydes looking better than ever on the feet, actually making it a great fight on the feet, picking Derrick Lewis apart, and Derrick Lewis just swinging for the heavens as Curtis Blaydes is going down for the takedown, out cold, a couple punches afterwards just for all the shit talking. It was tough to see. A brutal heavyweight knockout from two guys that are 6'4", 6'5". Derrick Lewis, just, you cannot count this man out. I wrote a blog about it, put it on the website. You literally can't count this man out. Shades of him versus Volkov, knocking him out in the last 10 seconds. Kev, what do you think about this fight? What do you think about Derrick Lewis? Because this man just doesn't disappoint.
Yeah, I thought Curtis Blaydes looked awesome in that first round. Yeah, I don't know if he had a single takedown attempt that entire round. He had Lewis on the cage. He hit him with some really good shots. And he took his time, and he had him on the cage, had his back to the cage the entire first round, didn't even attempt a shot, and was winning. It must have been his first takedown attempt the whole fight that he went, and Lewis just read it and hit him with an uppercut. And it was funny, in the first round, Michael Bisping in the commentator's booth, he brought up, Derrick Lewis throwing an uppercut. So, yeah, no, it was a crazy knockout. The way the fight was going, it looked like Blaydes was probably going to win, with his wrestling and his, being a little bit better of a conditioned athlete than Lewis. Usually we see Lewis kind of wear out in the later rounds, and I was thinking that's probably when Blaydes is going to take advantage of his wrestling and kind of suck the life out of him. But yeah, no, it was a crazy turn of events because Blaydes looked to be dominating that whole fight.
He looked so good on the feet after all week, basically coming out and saying, why would I risk my win bonus and stand with this guy? Like, he has zero takedown defense. Like, I'm going to take him down from the start of the bell. Like, that's literally what he said. And I was surprised that it did take him so long to go in for a takedown attempt, because I didn't think he was going to have that much success, or I didn't even think he was going to stand for that entire first round. And he was picking him apart. I mean, Derrick Lewis, he threw, I think, 1 punch in the friggin' first round. The whole fight, he threw 6 punches. 6 punches. And he lands just one monster uppercut with Blaydes going in. And it's like, Do I blame Blaydes for going in for a takedown? Absolutely not. But I think he was just having too much success on the feet to go in for that shot. I think he, you know what I mean? I'm not saying he was stunning Derrick Lewis with his shots, but he was controlling the pace. He was hitting him with some hard shots. I mean, Lewis didn't have any answer. He was, at that point, he had 5 strikes landed on him. And then he just goes in and obviously just I hate to say it's a freak thing because like that's taking credit away from Derrick Lewis, but my God, the power that he has in his hands. Yeah, what he did. I mean, Blaydes was out cold, right? We've seen Ngannou knock out Blaydes twice, but nothing like that. Are we getting to the point where Derrick Lewis has that like Ngannou-like power? Or are we starting to see that and finally realizing that? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely say he does have, because with the way he knocks people out, it's insane. And even DC said when he fought Derrick Lewis, DC was in on a single leg and Lewis was hitting him with back fist. And he says those are shaking him. So he's just got some insane power. And yeah, definitely on the level of Ngannou.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you take a look at Lewis, right? And is he the most athletically gifted man on the roster? No, absolutely not. But like you said, what he has been doing to people has been so scary, right? What he did to everyone thought that Olynyk was going to take him to the ground and was going to choke him out. And what does he do? He knocks him friggin' out in one punch. Look what he does to Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes has only ever lost to Francis Ngannou. He has beat up every single person that they put in front of him other than Francis Ngannou. And he knocks him out cold with one punch. My God, the follow-up punches were, you see the picture of Herb Dean running, like he was on the other side of the octagon, like didn't think that was going to happen. And then Lewis landed those 2 extra punches that like, man, that probably takes 5 years off your life right there. Yeah. That's tough to see. Obviously, props to Derrick Lewis, man. He's just always in that, that top 5 picture. And like, he's just never forgotten, even the fights that he's out of, man. And like, he took a tough TKO loss to Junior Dos Santos, right? That was back in 2019. He's obviously been one of the more active fighters throughout the past couple of years, even throughout this quarantine period. Beating the likes of Blagoy Ivanov, Ir Latifi, Alexei Olynyk, and now just starching Curtis Blaydes, number 2 in the world, right? I know we're talking about another heavyweight fight coming up here, so we'll kind of go what's next there. But does Lewis deserve this next title shot? We know we have Francis and Stipe fighting in a few months. Does that warrant enough for Lewis to get another title shot, even after really kind of getting dismantled by DC? I know there's going to be 2 different opponents, and he had probably one of the most boring fights in UFC history with Francis Ngannou. Does the UFC, say Francis gets past Stipe, do they run the risk of running that fight back? Do you think there's going to be the same result? Or like, I don't know, I guess, do you think this warrants him for a title shot?
Yeah, there's so much going on in the heavyweight division. Right now they got the Stipe Ngannou fight, which, depending on how that goes, that could set up a trilogy fight, and then there's John Jones that's in the mix. He's coming up the heavyweight. And you got Lewis, who's looked awesome and is ready for that shot. You've got Volkov, who's coming off a big win over Overeem, who was beating Derrick Lewis in the fight that they had, but he ended up getting knocked out at the very end. And then, with this Gane versus Rosenstrike fight coming up this weekend, I think if Rosenstrike wins, that puts him right back in the conversation as well. So there's a lot of different fights to be made, but I would definitely say Lewis is definitely at the top of that conversation.
Like I said, man, he's always in it. You can't count this man out. He just has so much power in his hands, and like I said, he admits to him not being the best wrestler in the world or being able to defend takedowns as well, but he knows that he can put your lights out with one punch. So obviously, props to Derrick Lewis. My God, it's a knockout of the year candidate for sure. I mean, just perfectly timed uppercut. Curtis Blaydes out. Obviously, we saw Curtis Blaydes down for a few minutes there, but it looks like he's recovering at home. You know, I think he's still in the mix as well. He's just so dangerous everywhere. You know that he's going to be back in contention soon. Take some time off after that knockout, but you know he's still a top 5 heavyweight in the world. So UFC Vegas 19, great card. Affected by some COVID stuff early on. We lost some fights due to that and some weight cut issues, but other than that, really great fight. So UFC Vegas 19 in the books. Let's look forward to this upcoming weekend, UFC Vegas 20. We got another heavyweight main event. I mean, who doesn't love the heavyweights going at it? This weekend we have, like you just said, Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on the undefeated Cyril Gane. Just to take a look at a fight that I think is going to be insane. I know me and you were just talking about this before, but on the main card, we have Pedro Munoz taking on Jimmy Rivera in a bantamweight bout. My God, this one is going to be good. You got Pedro Munoz, who's, yeah, is he on a 2-fight losing streak? Yes, but is Pedro Munoz still one of the best in the world? 100%. Taking on Jimmy Rivera, who's coming off of a win from Cody Stamann last July. So we haven't seen him in a little bit. So excited to see him come back in the octagon here. You got two guys that are so well-rounded everywhere. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy Rivera has just got lightning in his hands. Pedro Munoz is frigging good everywhere. This is going to be a clash, fight of the night potential right here. And I'm excited for this one. Kev, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, this is a good one because these guys are fought in everybody in the division. You know, you got Munoz, who submitted Rob Font, who's at the top of the division now, you know, a little while ago. And then Jimmy Rivera's fought, you know, Peter Yan, who's the champion right now, fought Aljamain Sterling, went 15 minutes with both of those guys, beat Cody Stamann. You know, these guys are just like the two most durable, you know, guys in the division, and they're going to be fighting each other. I think it's going to be an awesome fight. I think it's going to be 15 minutes of just straight fireworks, you know, especially with how Munoz fought Frankie Edgar. That was like a fight of the year contender. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to durability here, right? Take a look at Pedro Munoz. So let's just take a look at his losses, right? You know, this is a rematch of a fight here, right? He took on Jimmy Rivera back in 2015, split decision, right? So he's going to be coming back. He's going to be looking for some vengeance here. But Pedro's a guy that hasn't got finished, right? Losing to guys like John Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, Frankie Edgar, hasn't got finished. Like you said, has taken on everyone in their mother in division. And then you got a guy, Jimmy Rivera, who at one point he was 21-1 before running into Marlon Moraes, right? He got KO'd, unfortunately, head kick early in the fight. But, you know, he's been a guy that's been so good everywhere. And he's taken on, I mean, look at the list of killers: Moraes, Sterling, Peter Yan, Stamann. This is going to be a fucking great fight. This is a great rematch. I'm excited to see it because you take a look at the rankings right now and you look at bantamweight. It is so goddamn stacked. Like the fact that like Pedro Munoz and Jimmy Rivera 8 and 9 right now just goes to show you how strong that top 5 is. I agree with you. I think this is going 15 minutes, hard fought decision. You know, recency bias. I look at Munoz. I know he's taken on 2 tough guys in the past. I'm going Rivera on this one. I think Rivera's got something to prove, man. I've always liked him. I think he's someone that like could potentially be a champ one day. Like I said, he came into the UFC hot. So I think this is going to be hard fought. I think we're going to get a split decision, but I think that Jimmy Rivera is going to edge him out again here. So keep an eye out for this fight. I think this is going to be fight of the night. We all saw how Frankie Munoz went. I think this one's going to be even better. So keep an eye out for that one. And then let's get to the main event, boys and girls. We have Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on Cyril Gane. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, again, we're talking about knockout artist. That's all this guy does. I believe he has 1 decision victory on his resume. He's knocked out everyone he's faced. You know, he had undefeated, had a setback against Francis Ngannou back in UFC 249 last year, and then came back with a vengeance, TKOing Junior Dos Anjos back in August here, taking on Cyril Gane, a guy who's young in this game, a guy who's undefeated, 7-0, who he just TKO'd Junior Dos Santos as well, right? But hasn't faced the level of talent that Jairzinho has faced. We saw Jairzinho blow off freaking Alistair Overeem's lip. Both these dudes have power. To me, this is going to be a fight that, like, if Cyril wins this one, this is massive. This is putting him right in the mix into the top 5 possible title shot, right? Beating a guy like Jairzinho who's just knocking everyone out. Kev, I'm curious how you think this one's going to go down.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference in this fight is just the level of opponents that each guy has fought so far. I mean, they both have those knockouts over Dos Santos, but Rozenstruik's, he's fought Overeem. He's gone to the cage with Ngannou. He was, managed to make his way up the ladder to earn a fight with him, but Idar Lovsky. I just think he's got a lot more time in the UFC and, bigger fights, tougher opponents. I think just that experience alone is going to edge him out and get him the win in this fight. But Gain's an undefeated fighter, so you can't count him out either. But I just think, and Rozenstruik was undefeated at one point too, but went up against Ngannou. So, but I think Rozenstruik, I don't know if he gets it done, but I think he gets the win.
Yeah, I think, when Rozenstruik gets in there, he knocks people out. I think he's going to get this done. I think it's going to be in the second round. I think he wants to make a statement. I firmly believe he wants this Francis fight back because, we all know how that went down. First round knockout. It was brutal to see Francis Ngannou just throwing fucking windmills at him. I like Jairzinho. I just haven't seen enough of Cyril Gane to just be confident in his ability to beat a guy like Rozenstruik. But who knows? These heavyweight guys, we saw it last week. All it takes is one. Cyril can just land one shot right in the button, and Jairzinho goes down. So, again, we have an exciting heavyweight matchup. A lot of implications here. UFC Vegas 20, ESPN Plus. Go watch that shit. Which brings me to my next thing, right? Let's talk heavyweight division, right? So we'll end off with this. How do you see this division playing out by the end of the year? Who do you see as champion? Where does Jon Jones fit in all this? If you're playing matchmaker right now, how do you see the rest of the year playing out with this division? I'm curious to see your thoughts on who you think is going to end the year with the strap.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question is who's going to win the Miocic-Ngannou fight. With how Ngannou's looked, he looks unbeatable with the way he's been knocking people out. But I think people forget that's exactly what he was doing right before the first Stipe fight. Nothing has really changed. Maybe there were some nerves for him going into that fight, being a championship fight, being his first time in that type of position. But I don't know. I don't think people give Stipe enough credit for how good of a fighter he is. So I think it all depends on how that fight goes, because we could have, a trilogy fight by the end of the year, and that's how the heavyweight division ends off in 2021 with, Stipe versus Ngannou 3. But Stipe gets the win, then I'd say next fight is probably Jon Jones, even though there's a bunch of guys on the roster that have been competing at heavyweight that deserve it, business-wise, and I think competitively too. I mean, Jon Jones is a big guy as it is. He's going to fit. I think he's going to fit in pretty well with these heavyweights. So yeah, it could either end. I think no matter what, it's going to end up with Stipe in a championship fight, either against Jon Jones or Ngannou.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good prediction. Do you see Jones beating either Stipe or Francis, honestly? Or have you just not seen enough of him, obviously, at heavyweight to make a decision like that?
I mean, I guess like from Jones, his performance with Dom Reyes showed, I want to say weaknesses in his game, but showed that he can be beat. There is some holes that can be exposed, and I think with the extra size and the skill level of Stipe and the power that Stipe has, I think that's going to be an awesome fight.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that's what the UFC is hoping for. Now, say Francis beats Stipe, they do the trilogy. Obviously, John Jones probably isn't going to sit on the sidelines. Who do you see as a good first fight for him in the heavyweight division if the trilogy happens between Stipe and Ngannou?
That's a good question, because I don't think, I don't know. I don't know if Jones would take a non-championship fight, but he's making his way up to heavyweight. Like, he's putting all the weight on.
Yeah.
He's getting prepared for it. So I don't know. Maybe like a Rosenstrike fight if he wins, but I don't see him going against like a Derrick Lewis. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Blaydes, Rosenstrike or Blaydes, something like that. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I don't see him waiting around. You know what I mean? I just I think he's going to need a fight. And I think the UFC wants him to fight. Obviously, when John Jones fights, people watch. But I agree with you. I don't see him being like, someone in the top 5 I want to fight, right? Like, it's like, all right, Volkov's 6'7". Derrick Lewis hits like a truck. Rosenstrike hits like a truck. Blaydes is a really good wrestler. I don't know. I just don't see him like raising his hand for any of those guys. Not that he's afraid of them, but like, why spoil his debut with someone like that when he can just probably sit around and wait? But I just don't see him doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the way it goes, because how long did it take Ngannou to get his second chance at the belt? I mean, that was a couple of years, right? Because
Yeah.
Stipe had the 2 fights with DC since that time. Actually, I'm curious to how long it took, because maybe what they would do is if Ngannou wins the fight, they get the trilogy fight in their back pocket. They put Jones, Ngannou, whoever wins, they either get the trilogy fight or they get Stipe versus Jones.
That's true.
That might be the way that they go, instead of running back the trilogy immediately. And then if Stipe wins this one, then it just sets up the Jones fight immediately.
Yeah, I like that, because you got to think like, I assume the way Francis beats Stipe is not by a decision. I believe it's by a quick knockout, like something like DC did. Get him right back in there fighting John Jones. That's a massive money fight. But then I agree. Stipe wins. They can just move on from that fight, and then they can just do Stipe Jones, which is just a monstrosity of a fight. That's going to do a shit ton of pay-per-view buys. So either way, man, that heavyweight division is back. I think for a while, obviously with DC and Stipe going back and forth and all that, I think it was definitely very, looking for more star power. I think people knew DC was on his way out too. So it was kind of like, it wasn't looked at as much until that trilogy with DC and Stipe, and then Stipe getting the belt back, DC retiring, right? It's, I think there's finally some life back in this. And then they add John Jones to the mix. Everyone's curious to see what he's going to look like. Is he going to be this just monstrous of a man? Like, you know what I mean? Like all jacked up, like literally John Jones at 250 scares me. If he could still move like he can at light heavyweight, I mean, he's going to be a problem. But like you said, we've seen some holes in his last couple fights, which, I mean, like you said, I don't know if it's holes, but we've seen some just him slow down a little bit, I'd say. I think that's a pretty good assumption for that. But I'm curious to see what they're going to do here, man. I think there's just so many good fights coming up. And then we also have to put in consideration that, Israel Adesanya is fighting for the light heavyweight belt soon. So does John just say, hey, I'm not waiting around for a title shot at heavyweight. Like, let's just get this fight with Izzy over with. And then I don't know. And then he could try to go for the second belt too. He could beat Izzy and then go up a heavyweight and get that second belt. Like, he has so many options now. And I think the Izzy fight is really going to entice him to maybe come. I don't know. I have no idea, because I know that he's not going to like that Izzy has his old belt. I don't think he likes that. Like Jan, it's whatever. But like Izzy has been talking so much shit to him that, like, who knows? Maybe he'll lure him back down after he attempts to fight for the heavyweight belt. Who knows? So I am fired up to see that. But yeah, there's just a lot coming in the heavyweight division. Just so many good fights coming up. UFC 259 in a few weeks. I cannot wait to go through that 3 title fights. I'm so excited to preview that. What else we got, buddy?
That's it.
All right, cool. All right, guys. We just hit 10,000 followers on our Instagram. Thank you so much for all the support. We're blowing up. We're doing swipe ups now. We're a big deal. Go follow us. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to grow that channel. Go to our website, www.FlatlinedMMA.com. Go buy some merch. Go listen to the podcast. Go watch the videos. We're dropping blog posts. We're trying to do those as much as possible. So go read those. Go share those on social media. Do whatever you got. Go support the Flatline boys. And until next time, Flatline MMA. Peace.